The mysterious Bitcoin wallet that bought $3 billion worth of Bitcoin in 4 months has finally been solved. The CEO of the CBOE is bullish on the SEC approving their Bitcoin ETF partnership with Fidelity, and Shopify integrates USDC payments for millions of online businesses. Welcome back to Crypto Daily, everybody. So Bitcoin still sitting at 26K. We've kind of been fighting this range, 26K to like 25,500. We've just been bouncing in there. So, like I said, I've been buying Bitcoin slowly the last couple of days. We'll see what happens. I know a lot of people are looking to see if we, break down to 20K or if we, get back up and retest 30K. So the mysterious $3 billion Bitcoin wallet. I actually covered this yesterday, and this is breaking news as of today. So yesterday, everyone was speculating that the Bitcoin wallet belonged to BlackRock or Binance or someone like that, maybe just a big crypto exchange that was moving Bitcoin around. Turns out it was nothing that anyone predicted. It was Robinhood, which is the stock trading app in the US that is a little bit controversial for a bunch of different reasons. But it turns out that this wallet actually belongs to Robinhood, and they've accumulated $3 billion worth of Bitcoin in just 4 months. So pretty wild to see. I think most people would expect it would take a lot longer to accumulate Bitcoin at that pace, but it didn't. They made it happen, and it doesn't seem like it's slowing down anytime soon. So I'd like to see how much they get. I know a lot of people are now saying, Robinhood isn't that trustworthy in terms of like, at one point they could just dump all this Bitcoin on the market. So obviously that can happen with any Bitcoin, but interesting to see. I think it would have been a lot more bullish if it was BlackRock, but I still find this more bullish than if it was like Binance just moving Bitcoin around. At least we're seeing a new player come into the market and buy up a bunch of Bitcoin. So I love to see it. I guess we'll kind of see what happens from here. Here's just some more information on that, and it wasn't announced by Robinhood, but people did, a bunch of digging, and, blockchain detectives basically figured it out. So, the wallet's worth over $3 billion now. Just a completely new player and the third largest holder of Bitcoin now. Shopify, and this is huge news, integrates Solana Pay so that millions of different Shopify stores can now accept USDC. This is huge for the ecosystem. I mean, you can imagine now that if you run a Shopify store or shop at different stores that use Shopify, which is a lot of stores on the internet, you can now use USDC. So like, I'd like to think of it from the point of view of like, if I owned a Shopify store and I sold something in exchange for, US dollars, I would much rather, personally being someone in crypto, get USDC, where now I can just leg right into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies directly from the income I get from the store. So I think this is huge for the industry. Shopify is not a small player in the digital e-commerce space. So I'm really happy to see it. And I know Solana gets a lot of, negativity, and, overall it has a mixed image, kind of like Robinhood. But, the fact that we can start using USDC on these Shopify stores, I think is going to be a really big point for the industry. And I think you're going to start to see a lot of really interesting inflows and outflows come out of this. So the CBOE CEO recently just talked about how they're open to deals in other jurisdictions. But what I found more interesting at the end of this article was that he said, "We're optimistic that the SEC will get comfort around their ability to survey, hopefully with a trusted market operator. There is a demand for the democratization of crypto exposure, and ETFs are a wonderful tool." So he was speaking about his ETF application in conjunction with Fidelity, one of the world's largest asset managers and stock exchanges. So if you don't know, CBOE has partnered with Fidelity to launch this Bitcoin ETF. So, it seems like he's pretty optimistic on their ability to get that approved. So, everyone's kind of keeping an eye on BlackRock, but I do have a feeling that, the CBOE is a huge player in this game too. And obviously Fidelity being their partner would be, is kind of a huge partnership. So I'm interested to see what happens with the CBOE and their ETF. But I think all this news, especially with BlackRock and then, CBOE and Fidelity, I think it's kind of, we're heating up to that moment where, I'm pretty confident about the Bitcoin ETF approval. And whenever you see, Larry Fink or this guy talking about it, they seem quite confident. Pantera is a $4.8 billion hedge fund, and they recently predicted $148,000 Bitcoin by 2025. Obviously, take Bitcoin predictions with a grain of salt. When the market's going down, everyone's looking at, the media is all portraying all these negative predictions about Bitcoin going to 5K. And then when it's going up, everyone's talking about 100K, 150K, $1 million Bitcoin. So just thought I'd throw it in there for fun. But, Bitcoin predictions are Bitcoin predictions. The two Tornado Cash founders, Roman and Roman, they're both named Roman, were charged and arrested by the U.S. government. I think like the key takeaway here, we've been following this story for a while, is that they are basically being accused or charged with knowingly facilitating money laundering. And there's a group called the Lazarus Group, who are, known hackers and tied to North Korea. Obviously these are huge charges, and I'm not super familiar with the Tornado Cash founders and what they may have done or not done. But the one thing that I saw about this is that there's two sides. One side says it's clearly wrong. The other side says, a lot of hackers and malicious actors have used, Windows computers to conduct illegal activities. Does that mean that Bill Gates should be arrested? So, I see two sides to the story. I see the side where people say that it's clearly wrong, if they knowingly facilitated things that were, bad for the world and malicious. But then I also see the other side, which is that, if these founders just launch technology and people use the technology, should they be, charged and arrested for that, for what people did with the technology? So, I think this is going to be a rising conversation in crypto. It kind of already is, which is, if you build technology, especially if it's decentralized, and you launch it out into the world as like a smart contract, are you responsible for what people then do with that smart contract later? Like similar to Windows, like if they open source some piece of technology or, release some computer and then someone, does something malicious with that, is Windows responsible for facilitating it, knowingly or unknowingly? So going to be an interesting conversation, kind of just broadly in the crypto space. And final thing here, Bitstamp is ending ETH staking starting on September 25th. So, a lot of different exchanges, including Coinbase, launched ETH staking rewards, which basically let you, stake your ETH on the exchange, and then, the exchange stake the ETH on your behalf, essentially. And the US has been cracking down on that feature, saying that it's like an unregulated security market, since the number one thing about it is that you are earning rewards or earning dividends without having to do anything and relying on the work of others, which is a clear no-no in the Howey test. I think we're just seeing across the board that ETH staking on exchanges is being removed. Whether or not that's, correct, I think remains to be seen. If you look at stock markets, you can invest in dividend paying stocks, and then you can use the exchange like Fidelity to reinvest those dividends that you earn. So is the question here that, the staking rewards themselves are bad because they're basically just dividends? Or is the question that since it's kind of an unregulated new space, is that the problem? So something I'm keeping an eye on, something that I think is interesting. Another, again, similar to the Tornado Cash stuff, another interesting narrative in crypto. That's all I got for today. I will catch you guys tomorrow.